All right, I will call to order the Board of Franklin County Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, August 5th. Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Present.
Commissioner Howard?
Present.
Chair Waymeyer?
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson?
Present.
Commissioner Dunn?
Present.
All right, if you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, and today's invocation will be led by Scott Dickinson. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America,
to the republic
for
for which it
which
stands,
it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible.
liberty and justice for all.
All right. Okay, Pastor Dickinson.
All right, let's pray. Lord, this morning we're grateful for all you do for us as we've driven around and seen crops in and crops out and more crops ready to growing, the corn, the beans. It's amazing to me God's graced us as a people, and we're thankful for that. We pray that you continue to watch over us. We're thankful for elections yesterday and people being able to exercise their right to vote. And we thank you for all those who put in the hard work yesterday to count those votes. Lord, we thank you for all that's around us. We continue to pray for our commissioners that they continue to have wisdom and guidance from you as we get through this pandemic and all the stuff that's going on around in the business that has to take place. Continue to pray for our administrator as he has a lot on his plate, and pray that you give him guidance as well. Thank you again for the beautiful day. Thank you for the place in which we live. It's a beautiful place, and we're grateful for all the folks that are here. Help us as we serve folks in the best way that we can. And so, Lord, just watch over us today. Give us a great day, guys. Give us a great rest of the week. We pray in Christ's name. Amen.
All right, thank you. Do we have any correspondence and organizational business today other than what's not on the agenda, Derek?
No, sir.
All right, is there a public comment, Janet?
I don't have anyone.
All right, that brings us to consent agenda, which today would include claim vouchers in the amount of $208,937.21, and consider approving the minutes from our July 29th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Commissioner Dunn, motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, is there a second?
Commissioner Dickinson, I'll second it.
Commissioner Stottlemyre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard? Commissioner Howard? Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. All right, that brings us to items of business. The first of which will be consider approving a quarterly budget adjustment for the Community Corrections Department. Dustin should be on the line. Are you there, Dustin?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Go ahead.
All right, so the first item I have for your approval this morning is our fourth quarter budget adjustment for adult services. This is something we have to do every quarter if we go over on specific line items. And we exceeded some categories in the fourth quarter that total over $5,000, which requires our advisory board and the Board of County Commissioners to approve this. The reason for the large excess this quarter was due to purchasing the laptops to meet the COVID pandemic for our agency. So that was the majority of the expenses we had this quarter. We were able to do that though because we had a vacancy. One of our staff left in March, and that freed us up to spend this money. So overall, we were actually under budget for the year. We just have to move money around to make the quarter balance. So I'll stand for any questions at this time.
Of course, your budget is not a December or end of year fiscal year. It's so that's why this is your fourth quarter.
That's correct. Our fiscal year goes from July 1st through June 30th every year.
Yeah.
This is Commissioner Dickinson. Are those laptops that you had to purchase of something that we can get reimbursed through those COVID funds?
That's a good question, and I'm not particularly sure. Since this is a grant, this is not something that I was seeking reimbursement for. We kind of already had equipment expenses factored into our budget as we do every year. And so we were going to upgrade some computers anyway. So this just happened to work out with COVID and that we could get these laptops instead of doing the normal cycle.
Yeah, this is Derek. Those laptops are absolutely eligible for reimbursement, and we will submit that to our consultant with the expectation that those costs get reimbursed.
Awesome.
All right. There aren't any other questions. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2020 fourth quarter budget adjustment report for adult services?
This is Don, motion to approve.
All right, is there a second?
Commissioner Dunn, second.
Commissioner Howard, how do you vote? Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Waymire?
Yes. All right, Dustin, go ahead with our second item.
So the second item is similar to the first, although this is for our juvenile budget, and there are several different categories in which we exceeded our line item budget. And so we just needed to move some money around. We were also under budget for the year as far as our juvenile services go. We just have to move some funding from certain line items to other ones to make everything square for the quarter.
All right. If there aren't any questions, an affirmative motion in support of this item would be to move to approve the fiscal year 2020 fourth quarter budget adjustment for report for juvenile services.
Commissioner Dunn, I make a motion to approve.
Don, I'll make a second.
Commissioner Dickinson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard? Chair Waymire?
Yes. All right, and our third item is also similar to the previous two and lies with Dustin. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. This one's a little different in that we have to revise our budget for our fiscal year 21 behavioral health grant. We originally applied for $132,340.40 to provide care coordination services, which would have expanded the program to include 2 clinicians from ELC instead of the one that we currently have. KDOC came back and responded that they were not funding any new positions this year, and so we have to revise our budget, and that budget is in the amount of $74,012 even. That still allows us to have the care coordinator on site, as well as provide for the typical behavioral health services that we offer year in and year out. So I'll stand for any questions on that as well.
All right. It looks like between your explanation and the attached documents, we've got it. So is there a motion to approve the revised fiscal year 2021 Kansas Department of Corrections behavioral health budget in the amount of $74,012?
Commissioner Dickinson, I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Dunn, second.
Commissioner Dunn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard? Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Waymire?
Yes. All right, our fourth item of business is a rezoning application. Larry, are you online?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The items 4 and 5 are related, so I'd like to give consideration first, though, to the rezoning, which is item number 5. In order to approve the final plat, you would have to take an action on the rezoning first. So The Planning Commission did consider this at their meeting last month, and they have approved and forwarded a recommendation to the county commissioners to approve the rezoning of lots 1 and 2 as shown on that plat from agricultural to the R3A, or excuse me, the RE residential estate zoning district. Both of these lots are currently developed with existing homes and have all the requirements that are set forth in our subdivision regulations as well as our zoning and sanitation code. So they are existing units that have been lived in for quite a number of years now, particularly the old farm home. Anyway, the Planning Commission have forwarded a recommendation for the county commissioners to adopt a resolution approving the rezoning request as addressed in the staff report that's before you. I have nothing further to add unless any of you have questions regarding this rezoning. The 2 large tracts will remain in agriculture, and just the 2 10-plus acre lots are the ones that are being rezoned.
All right. Any questions on this one? Would anybody like to make?
I only
ahead,
got
Don.
one. Chairman Waymire?
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I only got this and not on the deal. Am I the only one that don't hear Rick?
Yeah, we're getting Rick called back in. Dustin's working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's just me, not just me.
No,
Okay, I'd like to approve Larry's application, 2006-1765.
All right. Is there a second?
Mr. Dunn, second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard? Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Waymire?
Yes. All right, Larry, go ahead with your second item.
The second item is the final subdivision plat. The purpose for this subdivision is to settle the estate. The 2 people that are inheriting this property are going to reoccupy the 2 existing homes. Those are lots 1 and 2. Those are the ones that you just considered for rezoning. The other 2 large tracts will continue to be used for agricultural purposes. The subdivision does meet all of the criteria of our comprehensive plan as well as our subdivision regulations and will be consistent with the zoning that you just approved. The Planning Commission considered this and approved it at their last meeting in last month, and we would ask then that you authorize the chairman to endorse the plat, accepting all easements and rights-of-ways that are shown on the face of the plat.
All right. Of course, it's called a subdivision because once we split a parcel once and with a lot split, then subsequently it needs to be a subdivision. Is that correct?
That's correct. There was a lot split that was done for the newer home, which was constructed just 4 years ago. And that it was being amended, though, because they're adding a little acreage to it, and you address that in your rezoning application preceding the action that you want to take here. But you're exactly right. You're entitled to a one-time lot split, and anything further will require a subdivision plat.
All righty. If there aren't any other questions, a motion to authorize the chairman to endorse the final plat of the Hobbs Farm subdivision located at the northwest quarter of Section 12, Township 18, South Range 19 East, accepting all easements and right-of-ways as shown on the plat, would be an affirmative motion.
Commissioner Dickinson,
I'd like
I'll make
to
that
make-
motion.
All right, Commissioner Dickinson got in for the motion. It sounded like Don. Did you want to second it?
Yep.
Commissioner Howard, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. Sixth item is to discuss the options for the district court HVAC project and consider awarding bids. Brandon Sands, our maintenance director, should be on.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Brandon. Can you all hear me?
Sure can. Go ahead, Brandon.
Good. Okay, so we solicited bids for the HVAC project at the district court. The engineer's estimate for this that we had from them back in February was about $278,000 for the total project. Looking at the lowest responsible bidders for the controls portion of this project and the mechanical portion of this would bring the project total to $331,520. Being that that cost is more than what we had, originally anticipated for this project, we did work into those bids the option to do part of the project now and the second part at a later date. If we decided to do that, the phase one of this project would be $199,940. That will be the mechanical equipment and the controls for the east side of the building.
Does there appear to be kind of an economy of scale doing them all at the same time? I mean, I know you didn't have them submit bids on the second portion as well.
Right. There would obviously be a savings for us if we had this all done at the same time. I'm not sure really how that would pan out, down the road when we decided to do the second half if we went that route.
You bet. Of course, it's impossible to know what the prices would be then too, so.
Sure.
This is Derek. I think there's something to be said for they will have, if you're BCI, you will be mobilized there on site. You will have all of your equipment there, your staff there. And this is exactly why, Janet and I have prioritized building our reserves. Our reserves are in good shape, and this has been a project that has been on my radar for the entirety of my nearly 6 years with the county. I remember having a discussion about district court HVAC with Brandon's predecessor. And so my recommendation would be that we just go ahead and approve the full bid and just have this one out of the way. You're right, Chair Waymeyer. It's hard to quantify exactly what the savings would be, but just looking at it logically, having people already there, I mean, you're going to save costs in that regard, and then, costs don't seem to go down as time goes by, and so I think it's a fair assumption that, whenever we come back and do that other side, that it would probably be more at that point as well, but so that would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Commissioner Dickinson, I heard you speak up there. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Brandon if did he feel like he had a good number of responses as far as his bidders?
This is Brandon. Yeah, we did. We had a number of companies show up to our pre-bid meeting. For the controls portion of it, we had 3 that actually submitted their bids, and we had 4 on the mechanical side that submitted their bids. So we had a pretty good pool to choose from here.
Commissioner Dickinson again, do you have any idea why it came in so much higher than what they had thought? Just because of the time that's passed?
I really don't know for sure why it came in so much higher. I could make some guesses, given the climate that we're in right now with COVID-19 affecting, different markets and things like that. But I really don't know for sure what has driven that cost up from the estimate that we got in February.
Well, we've got, oh, go ahead, Don.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Stallmeyer. This is something we've been, you know, somebody's been around a while, but we've been dealing with this thing for close to 20 years over there. It's been a problem, and we've thrown money at it. And undoubtedly, if the guys that went out there and got several responsible bids, there's a reason why the price is what it is. There's something, you know, that just wasn't figured in when it was all done. Usually on a deal like this, we get plenty of bids, even if it is over what you estimated. There's a reason for it. I mean, they must have all seen the same reason. So, unless nobody else has any more comment on it, I'd approve to go ahead with the full project.
I did have one more comment. I think that at the very beginning of the year, we didn't know where COVID was going to put us, and we really have not seen our money fall as much as we thought it might. And this is definitely a project that we had on our top priority. So I would also agree that putting the whole thing in at this time would be the best choice of action.
This is Commissioner Dunn. Brandon, do they have a start date and finish date on this?
This is Brandon. So they've been given 30 days to complete the project, and we are looking at the end of September as a start date for this work to start.
Derek, did you want to go over real quick what fund we'd pay this out of, its balance and revenue? Or Janet?
Jan, do you have those numbers in front of you?
I believe we intended to pay for this out of our equipment reserve account. And that would be 517, Fund 517. Did you want the balance in that account?
If you had it in front of you, I know it's pretty healthy. We've had good revenues. I think we should just maybe quickly discuss it just to show that we've given it consideration.
Give me just 1 second.
This is Commissioner Dickinson. We might also point out that we saved a ton of money when we had the courthouse painted this year too. It came in substantially less than we thought.
Yeah, we've had good luck, sure. It's nice to start.
Our current balance in that account is $1,234,882.
All right, what do we have for a budgeted transfer this year into that?
I'm not sitting at my desk. I'm at another desk, so I have a quiet space to be on the meeting, and I don't have that right here with me.
That's fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
No, that's okay.
Anyways, we know that we've had very good, been able to make very good transfers, and revenues have been coming in. And so it's nice that we're finally able to get to the position where we can start to pay for things with these, like these, with cash, and yeah, get this problem taken care of. Rick, did you have anything to say? I know Don had made a motion. I didn't want to give you a chance.
No, I agree with doing the whole thing. I'll second Don's motion.
All right.
Commissioner Dickinson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Chair Waymire?
Yes.
Hey, Cole, this
Go ahead.
is Derek. Before you transition, and I've actually got our 2021 budget in front of me, which also has numbers from the 20 budget. It looks like in 20 we budgeted a transfer of $479,500 into county building reserves and $165,000 into our equipment reserve. So that's what 480, 580, about $650 $40-ish thousand that were budgeted to transfer into our two major reserves. And we'll discuss this tonight, but that's going to shoot up again in 21. So even with this expense, pending any other needs the rest of the year, I would expect that reserve to stay over $1 million in all likelihood.
That's great. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right. Our seventh item is to approve the solicitation of bids for the 2020 hot mix asphalt patching and overlay project for Public Works. David, are you on the line?
Yes, sir, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. All right, so as you know, this year we elected to, due to the COVID earlier in the year, we elected to hold off on our annual chip seal project. And so those funds are still available to us, and we have elected to try to knock out some of our worst asphalt pothole base failure locations throughout the county, and to do a little bit of overlay work as well. And so to move forward with this project, our staff went out and marked close to 150 different locations all across the county that needed significant attention. And these aren't the areas that just need a small pothole patched. These are large areas where we are seeing some raveling of the pavement, some rutting, those sorts of things that need more than just a patch crew to throw some cold mix in the holes and put together. So we had staff all throughout the county look at these locations, and then we also compared that to the pavement management spreadsheet that we are developing in conjunction with LTAP to make sure that we are covering the areas that need to be covered. Now, with 150 different locations across the county and numerous roads that need to be overlaid, we don't have the resources available at this time to do all of it. So we analyzed the map along with the spreadsheet and came up with approximately 60 locations that are clustered together in different parts of the county. And these are 60 of the largest locations that are going to require the most work, along with about 4 miles of road that we want to overlay. Now, the overlay projects, that includes a couple of subdivisions up in the Wellsville area, one of the subdivisions along Old 50, and then also Labette Road, where the city limits are along I-35 to where it ties into Montana Road, and then Montana Road from the new I-35 bridge up to Marshall. We felt like getting those roads, which are major collectors, overlaid would be appropriate, especially in light of the fact that currently with the I-35 bridge over on Montana Road being constructed and the realignment of that road, it would be a perfect time to do that, to upgrade those two roads with the new bridge, and then also with the new roads in Proximity Park. So that whole area will be fresh and should last for quite some time. In looking at the spreadsheet that we've come up with, which on a side note, I plan to present that to you all along with the chip seal analysis probably sometime in early to mid-September, similar to the information that we same kind of format that we provided the solid waste analysis here recently. So we use that spreadsheet and the information to make sure that we are touching our worst roads and making those better. So all the roads that we're working on that we're overlaying are in the 4 to 6 range on a scale of 1 to 10. So we are making some improvements on some of these roads, I think it's a good project. I think that we have hit kind of a sweet spot where we will be able to utilize the funds that we have available to us. If by chance the bids come in lower than expected, and we may be able to add some additional areas to that, there is certainly plenty of opportunity for additional locations. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
This is Commissioner
Go ahead.
Dickinson. I was just wondering that we usually do our bid for our roads way early in the year. Since we're already into August, is there going to be a problem getting somebody to do it before the end of the year?
No, ma'am. The work will be done in late September or October before they close down the plants. There won't be an issue with that. In fact, it may benefit us price-wise, where some of the companies are finishing up their summer projects and may have a gap to finish out their year. That's the feedback I've gotten with the folks I've talked to so far.
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I see that it's not on this list. Is it a different deal, the Jackson Road Bridge at the county line?
Yes. Okay. So of the remaining locations that need to be addressed, county crews starting either late this month or early in September, we are going to do a pretty good amount of blade patching. Jackson Road is a road that honestly needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. And so we felt like the most prudent use of our funds at this point is to utilize our crews to do some extensive blade patching on Jackson Road. It will make improvements, but until we're able to go in there and reconstruct that particular road and fix all of the drainage issues that we have under the road, any overlay or significant patching that we're going to do on that will be just a temporary issue. My understanding is that we have done some overlay work. We have done some extensive patching on that road in the recent past, and if you've driven down it, it just looks terrible. And so I'm afraid that if I put a 2-inch overlay on that, within a very short period of time, we'll be back to the same circumstance that we have now. So my intentions is to use our forces to take care of it today, and then create a project in the coming years to reconstruct that. And so it'll be a better situation than it is currently, but it's not going to be a long-term fix.
I'd say my main concern was the bridge itself.
Yeah, and we will look at that. One of the later agenda items may be relative to the Jackson Road Bridge.
Okay, because I know it's been an issue for quite some time, and I drive it quite often, and it's pretty not very good.
Right, and I think that we have a solution that may work really well on our bridge decks moving forward, and so we'll talk more about that when we get to the Colorado Bridge agenda item.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for David on our asphalt project that's in front of us? Well, then, would anyone like to make a motion to authorize the solicitation of bids for the 2020 hot mix asphalt patching and overlay project?
Commissioner Howard, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Dunn, second.
Commissioner Dunn, how do you vote?
Yes, let's get it done.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson? Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer.
Yes. All right. Our eighth item is to consider purchasing a motor grader. Go ahead, David.
Okay, Commissioners, as you know, we have currently we have a 5-year, 7,500 hour buyback agreement with Foley Equipment for our motor graders. Going forward, we're changing that to a 7-year, 9,000 hour agreement. And so we've got one of our 2015 12M3 blade that is due to be replaced later this month. Staff has done some research, more research, and we are recommending going with a 2019 140 M3 all-wheel drive. We had originally spec'd a 12 M3, which is a step up from what we just purchased. However, they just recently sold the 12 M3 before we could get to this point today. And so Foley has made us a great deal on a 140 M3, which is, again, a step above the 12 M3. So we are getting a better machine for a very similar cost to what we were going to pay for the 12 M3. And so we would like to move forward with that. The cost on this, the list price is over $500,000 for this piece of equipment. But whenever you factor in the Sourcewell discount, a customer loyalty of almost $50,000, plus the trade-in allowance of $131,000, that brings the total to $204,000. And it also comes with a guaranteed minimum trade-in value of $131,000 at the end of those 7 years. And we feel like this particular machine will be an asset to our fleet. It is a true construction quality motor grader, and so we will be able to use it on some of our bigger construction projects. And we just think it'll be a good alternative to how we're doing things currently.
All right. Any questions for David?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Howard. Didn't we open bids and finance some of these leases on these road graders with some of the local banks? Are we going to do that on this one, or?
Yes, sir, we definitely will. I will be bringing the solicitation of the financing permission to solicit bids to you on the 19th. So that will be an agenda item coming up for you. But we will definitely go through the financing process again, just like we always have.
All right.
Okay.
Would anybody like to make a motion to authorize the purchase of a 2019 140 M3 all-wheel drive motor grader per quote number 17761702?
This is Don. I'll make the motion.
All right, is there a second?
Commissioner Dickinson, I'll second it.
Commissioner Stottlemyre, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer.
Yes. All right, our ninth item of business is consider approval of a proposal from High Plains Inc. in the amount of $49,125 to repair the bridge deck and add a 1.5-inch high-strength, low-permeability concrete overlay to the bridge deck on Colorado Road, just north of Butler Road. I will abstain from this item, as I always do, because I have business interests with the company that's proposing to do work. So I'll turn it over to David. Go ahead, David.
Commissioner Waymeyer, before I speak to this, I failed to ask you to stop by the office to sign the agreement for the motor grader. Once this meeting is over, if you could do that, I would greatly appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay, so we have been working on the Colorado Road Bridge for several weeks now after we discovered or were notified that there was a hole in the deck. We engaged High Plains right away. They started doing emergency repairs to chip out those holes to get to solid concrete, and then we have added material to those holes and are starting to repair that. Recently, we closed the bridge altogether so that we could remove the asphalt overlay that was on top of that bridge so that we could see if there was any other damage throughout the bridge, and High Plains is currently working on that, making those repairs. They submitted a proposal and let us know that they were about 50% through with the patching portion of that, and had spent $11,900, and so we doubled that to cover their costs for the patching on the entire bridge. While they were going through that process, they, along with staff, were discussing things on how to move forward, whether we were going to put an asphalt overlay across that bridge again, just like it was. And we came up with what we believe is a superior product that will provide extended life for this bridge deck and prove to be a better solution than putting asphalt. Currently, KDOT uses this high-strength, low permeability concrete to overlay their bridges. In fact, the KDOT is doing a project right now on the I-35 bridges going across Marshall Road, where they are essentially doing the same thing that we're doing on Colorado, just at a much bigger scale, where they are chipping out the entire bridge deck and patching it, and then they're going to overlay it with the same material. So we would like to move forward with this new concrete mix that KDOT is using. We feel like that we will get, again, better performance, better lifespan, and ultimately, if it proves successful, will be a great option for us to utilize on future bridge deck projects similar to the one on Jackson Road, which would be the next candidate for this type of repair work. And so the price tag is a little bit steeper than going across it with asphalt, but we think the return on our investment will far outweigh the differences in expense. And I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have.
That's Commissioner Dunn. Who makes this concrete mix?
Well,
where does that come from?
Locally, Builder's Choice is the company that High Plains has been working with, and Builder's Choice is also providing the material for the I-35 bridge.
Okay.
Any other questions for David?
Mr. Dunn? Mr. Dunn, I'll make a motion to go ahead for the project.
All right, that's a motion from Commissioner Dunn.
This is Stottlemyre. I'll make a second.
Commissioner Dickinson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Chair Waymire?
Abstain. All right, thank you, David.
Thank you,
will
Commissioners.
stop by after the meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That brings us to staff reports. Derek?
All right. I was having a conversation with Brandon yesterday about kind of the state of our facilities, and I will tell you, I want to thank all of you, the commissioners, for your support today, both with the public works items and then the district court HVAC. I remember when I was recruiting Brandon, trying to get him to work here, and this was several years ago, his concern was, you know, you have facilities that have needed repairs for years. And, you know, if I'm going to come work for you, obviously, I want some kind of assurance that this is a priority and that we're going to take care of this. And that's absolutely what we've done. If you look at all the work, kind of our major facilities, the historic courthouse, the district courthouse, the jail, and the annex, I mean, we have a list of projects that we've completed, many here in the last, year and a half. And so I appreciate the commissioner's support on that. And I think the fact that we've paid cash for every dime of that is kind of the cherry on top, not having to incur debt to do it. And we're starting to turn the corner and get to the point where, you know, it's going to be more about maintenance and sustainability, which I know Brandon is working hard on those plans to make sure that we don't end up in this spot again. And so, depending on how tonight's hearing goes, we may discuss some of that a little bit, just some of the specific projects, but I do appreciate your support. In terms of tonight, you've done this with Janet and I several times now. I would not expect a long presentation. This is the substantially similar budget to what we approved last year. We've discussed it publicly. We've given all of you the opportunity to ask questions, and you know, you've got the pertinent info in front of you. So we'll open up the public hearing and stand for any questions that the public may have, but I don't think that either of us plan on turning it into a lengthy ordeal. I obviously would like Janet to talk about last night's election. I do want to just say, though, that her and her staff really have this down to a science. And it's fun to watch them all work together over there. They do an exceptional job. I think this election presented challenges for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is COVID, but they did a great job there of keeping things distanced, and you would have never, outside of the mask usage, you wouldn't have necessarily known that we were in the midst of a pandemic. Like, it just flowed so well. And so I thought they did a terrific job. Once we're through the budget and we get this election canvassed, I think specifically Janet and I's attention will have to turn back to this CARES Act funding. We are working with our consultant on that. We've heard back from all the schools and the cities that are going to submit requests, and we're currently sifting through all of those to try and put together a direct aid spending plan. And so it is a good problem to have. Obviously, these are federal funds that are not only going to reimburse us for all of our COVID-related expenses, but they will also allow us to tackle some projects that, frankly, we were probably going to do anyway, but have to use ad valorem tax dollars. And instead, because we can tie it to COVID, and we're thinking a lot of technology-related projects, asset management software, case management software, increased storage. And so we're working on that now, but the hope is that in addition to providing additional COVID-related safeguards, it will also provide relief for future budgets. And so those plans are due on the 15th. And so I would expect, a lot of next week to be dedicated to trying to finish that process up. And so, Colt, that is all I have this morning.
All right. Any questions for anything Derek went over before we move on?
We are gonna face to face or what tonight?
Last we talked about the consensus that the board came up with.
I just want to know what I need to do.
The meeting's already been noticed, isn't that correct? Derek?
Yeah, we've noticed it up as an in-person meeting. Absolutely.
So,
Okay, 6 o'clock. Annex.
That's correct, yep.
all right. Nick, are you on?
Good morning, Commission. This is Nick. I have a quick report for you this morning. I wanted to let you know that we have pretty much finalized our response plan to the schools. So I have met with Casey and Eric and Aaron with the superintendent. Everybody seems to be on board and supports our plan. So that's a plus going into the school year that we do have a plan to respond to COVID. We have been busy. I will tell you, we've had 27 positives since we reported out on the 31st, which was last Friday. We have had 17 positives since Monday. So we are continuing to see an upward trend in positive cases throughout the county. So we're busy with contact tracing and testing. We are assisting Ottawa Family Physicians working with OU today through Friday to test the majority of their students coming into the community so we can get an idea of what the numbers of COVID that might bring or maybe not bring to our community. So a lot of things working over here, but the big things are right now is we're doing a lot of tracing since we've had 17 positives since Monday. Other than that, I'm open for questions if you have any.
This Commissioner Dunn, Nick, how many people are in the hospital with this COVID? You know?
I forgot to tell you that. Thank you. We have one person currently hospitalized. I will tell you that a lot of our positive cases, the majority of our positive cases we have seen have been symptomatic or been through the hospital into their rapid testing over the past weekend and the last few days. So we are seeing more symptomatic cases and we have one in the hospital.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Dickinson, how long do you think you can continue to do the contact tracing?
That's the golden question. Right now, we're focusing on getting as much as we can. The biggest problem we're continuing to have is people who don't want to give us any contact, people that don't want to get tested. So we're seeing a trend now where, or it's a continued trend of people not wanting to tell us who they've been around, where they've been. So it's getting more difficult. I plan to keep tracing as much as possible. My concern is when the school year starts, that's going to become a priority versus the community spread we're seeing. So a lot of the cases, I will tell you, we're still able to trace back to where they prospectively got COVID from. So we are in community spread, but we are able to go back on a lot of these cases and find out household members or workplace members that they may have got COVID from. So we have been successful to this point, but there is a point where we're going to have to start making some strong decisions on how far we're going to go. And I think we're getting close to that depending on what the school year brings.
Commissioner Dunnigan, Nick, Governor's come out with possibly going back to phase 2. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I don't know right now what my thought would be on that. I know the continued spread we see are just because the places, or some of it is because places are not following the mask rules. People aren't really respecting what we've got out there right now. So going back to phase 2, I don't know if it's a good idea this time or not, because we're still not going to be able to enforce that.
Yeah, and this is Derek. I'll jump in there. I'm not going to ask Nick Robbins to make that call for us. Going back to phase 2, that is very much going to be a decision that is in the hands of the 5 of you, along with Dr. Bud Ransom. I think that some of that is just going to necessarily depend on what the state generally is doing. I mean, I know the governor was stripped of her authority to issue actual orders, but it's one of those things that if as a state we decide, you know, if the counties adjacent to us decide, you know, that we're going to go back to phase 2, then I think that's probably something that should be considered. As it stands right now, you know, even if there is merit to actually going back to phase 2, and certainly I think our numbers statewide would indicate that there is merit, but it's not going to do Franklin County any good to go backwards if every other county in the area is remaining where they're at. And so that's what's so hard about this situation is, we're not on our own island. Like literally people cross our borders in every direction all the time. And there has to be, you know, we have to work in conjunction to a certain extent with the counties surrounding us. So that's a very good question, Roy. And I'm glad you asked, but it's so hard to say at this point what that may look like. Nick, do you want to talk about the tractor show a little bit before we move on from you?
Yes, I will. I want to let the commissioners know we had a conversation with Dave Reeves and Bob Robbins from the tractor show to discuss what was going on. And I will tell you that conversation lasted a while, and it was very good conversation on both ends. With the continued rise in the COVID cases, with flu season starting to ramp up, the concerns coming out, you know, you looked, the state fair was canceled. There was a lot of things canceled. There were some tough decisions made by both the tractor show, the health department, and county on that. They did have the opportunity to have a national show, which, you know, is huge for this community. Following the conversations, it was mutually agreed upon by Dave and Bob Robbins and us to postpone that. And they were looking at options to reach out through the national show to see if somewhere they can do something different. And I will tell you, the county offered as much support as we could on being able to help them, being able to promote some of that if we can. So I thought leaving that meeting, it was a pretty good meeting, and there was a lot of great conversations. So I continue to be like everybody. I'm sad to see these events having to shut down, but we're in a pandemic and none of us have ever been there before. And before we can shut this down and slow this curve that we're seeing on the increase, the better off we're going to be. So I did think that was a good meeting, and I was glad to see the tractor show worked with us and we were able to mutually agree to. So that's what I have on that.
This is Commissioner Dickinson. I did have one more question. Are all of the schools in the county going to open after Labor Day? I know some of them are, but I don't know all of them.
The only one that I know start date is after Labor Day is Ottawa. I know Pomona, Central Heights, and Wellsville all have start dates before Labor Day.
All right, well, thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Sheriff Richards, are you on?
Yeah, this is Sheriff Richards. I attended the Pomona City Council meeting on Monday, and they did get their budget approved. At that meeting, there was not much discussion on theirs either, as theirs is also, I believe, staying pretty flat. But they did approve their budget Monday evening. And in-house, we've had a pretty decent relationship, a good working relationship with DEA. But the past month or so, we have kind of enhanced that some, and we have signed on as a part of a highway interdiction unit for the HIDA, the high intensity drug trafficking area, through DEA. So we are part of that actively. And yesterday I had a meeting with the administrator from DEA. He was in in town from DC wanted to have a law enforcement roundtable, and I had the opportunity to participate in that, just to voice some of the concerns and the current happenings of Franklin County. It's good to know that there are people in those levels that are listening to what we have going on at our level and are willing to kind of embolden that partnership and enhance that commitment to us as well. And so we are proceeding with those things, and I believe that we're seeing good results already from it, but I anticipate that we'll see some better results moving forward. Other than that, if anyone has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
All right. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the update. All right. David Lee. Still on, David?
Cole, David had to jump off the call, so okay. I think you can move on to Janet.
You bet. Janet?
So as Derek said, we had a very busy night last night. I heard really great feedback from the majority of my locations, talking about making sure that everyone was safe and secure, that we had plenty of PPE out at all the locations. I did visit many of my locations yesterday to make sure that my workers were wearing face masks and keeping everyone there as safe as possible. Now we have the arduous task today of picking up all the equipment. So I have staff and some other county employees assisting today, going around to pick up all of that equipment. So as Derek said, the results last night came in. It took a little longer to report our first results than we usually like to, but that was because of the extraordinary amount of advance ballots by mail that we had. Just took a lot of extra manpower to open up those envelopes and get those all scanned into the machine. So currently we have 3 races that we're watching. We have our second commission district that will be decided in the primary because the only 3 candidates on the ballot were all 3 Republicans, and that's separated by 28 votes right now. And then we have 2 precinct committee person races that are in the city limits of Ottawa that were contested, one separated by 3 votes and one separated by 2 votes. So currently in office, we have 106 provisional votes, which are votes that were casted out at a voting location, whether that was early in the office or whether that was at a polling location. And many of those will count. They're just people needing to update their address or update their name or something very simple like that. So as you guys know, as the Board of Canvassers, we do count many of those. So also we received a bundle from the post office this morning that they had sitting there from yesterday that just didn't get brought over to us, and we're estimating that we have around 100 ballots in that bunch. So those collectively have over 200 ballots already in office that likely many of them will count. At least that 100 from the post office definitely will count because they were all postmarked by election date. So we'll still receive ballots in office. We haven't received our actual mail for today. So today and tomorrow and Friday, anything that's postmarked prior to Election Day, we will be able to count. And we'll be making updates every day on our website by 5 p.m. with the updated results. And we'll also be reporting those to the Secretary of State's office to keep the state and federal races updated too. I would really like to give a shout out to Casey. I really couldn't have got those reports out on the internet nearly as well as she did. I mean, she's a tremendous resource to all of us department heads, and you know, the things that we forget about, she's thinking about those things, how to communicate with our public, which is so important. But when we're trying to manage things like, how to run an election with COVID happening and keeping everyone safe. Casey's thinking about that communicating to the public piece for us, which is so important. So I just really want to thank Casey for that. So as Derek said, I'm in communication with our contractor, Whit O'Brien, working on some spreadsheets with them for our plan. And Sari is also helping me with a lot of things regarding payroll to get that to our contract firm also. So budget hearing tonight, we've got a lot going on still today, so lots to do.
Just a reminder, Janet, time.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said, Dawn.
Time for Canvas.
Oh, so we're going to canvass next Wednesday, as we discussed, and I will be shooting out an email to you guys. I assume that our meeting next week will still be a Zoom meeting, just out of abundance of caution, but we will have to have an in-person meeting for the canvas, and we'll have it up in the courtroom. As you guys know, it's a very spacious area that we'll be able to distance ourselves, and we'll wear masks like we are supposed to, and get the votes canvassed, and hopefully everything will go fairly quickly. So I'll send you out an email so that we can discuss like how long you think it will take you to get to the courthouse after you're on the Zoom meeting at home. So we'll work that out.
All right. How many of the mail-in ballots now do you actually have of your total you sent out?
We got 1,360 of them back that are counted and logged. And like I said, we have another around 100 that we haven't logged in and checked all the signatures and everything yet on. So we're working on, my girls are up front working on that right now, getting those done so we can get as many of those possible scanned in today and get the results updated. Like I said, the mail hasn't came yet today, so we're going to be working on that for the next 3 days. So,
do you have any idea or can tell if there's an amount of people may have went ahead and just voted instead of mailing it in?
Do you mean in-person voting?
Instead of mailing it in, or is that in your computer at all?
So. Just a rough figure. I think we're going to be around 25% turnout countywide. I mean, some precincts obviously are going to be higher than that if they had contested races and things in them. But I think 25% overall is probably where we're going to land, which is tremendous for a primary election when we're usually well under 10% for a primary election turnout. So I think the candidates did a really good job of getting their message out and getting people out to vote. So it was a good day yesterday, very busy for my election sites.
This is Commissioner Dickinson. It was really nice to see a bunch of young faces at the polling place. You did a good job of getting them there to take over.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. We did work really hard on that. We got some of them into the polling locations as our sanitizers this time to make sure as people voted, we had someone going behind them and cleaning, so it was safe and secure for the next voters. But we were able to talk to several of them and discuss them potentially coming on as an actual election worker in the future. So that's a really great tool to be able to get them in there, because many of them don't think about being able to work an election when they're not able to vote yet, but the law does allow them to. So I did have many of them work. I had one out at Wellsville. I had probably 6 or 7 here in the city limits of Ottawa, and just a few others spread around. So we had a really great showing of young people who are interested in the voting process and interested in helping out. So we continue to try to look for them as we get new equipment. Obviously, the iPads being at the polling location this time were quite intimidating for some of our older workers, but having those younger people there to jump in and help when they needed a little extra help is a great resource.
Great. Sounds like you've been busy, and appreciate the update. Move on to commissioners' comments, board reports. Roy, do you have anything?
No, I just appreciate Janet. I went to my polling place and it was everything she said it was. It was very efficient and everybody respected everybody's, everybody was wearing their masks coming and going. So congratulations, Janet. A good day.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Roy. Commissioner Dickinson.
I had a couple of meetings. I did have a food policy council meeting on Monday. Most of the talk is trying to continue the services that we have amid the restrictions that we have as far as COVID is concerned. They also have a new Blue Cross grant that they're going to try to do some fruit and vegetable distribution to some of our communities that don't have grocery stores. And that is kind of something they're just getting started on. Also, I had a neighborhood revitalization meeting where we had 4 new properties. I believe 2 of those are new home builds and 2 are property renovations. So that's awesome that people are continuing to do development in the city. I did go to the Princeton meeting on Monday in addition to their budget meeting, which they did. Also pretty much keeping a balanced budget. They did approve the basketball court. They've been working on that new playground for a couple of years now, and this is kind of the finishing touch on it. And they are going to go ahead and get that done, and that'll be nice for that area. And then the city of Ottawa, I didn't go to their meeting, but they will have their budget meeting this evening as well as their regular meeting. And one of the things that they pointed out in their study session on Monday was that, and this I think is surprising to everybody, but the sales tax numbers continue to be not only up there, but even surpassing last year's. So when we thought COVID might be a real problem, it actually, I don't know if it's keeping people home, shopping at home or whatever, but not only was it it was way over last June's, but they said it was one of the best months ever as far as sales tax is concerned. So at least at this point, COVID has not touched us. So that's awesome. And that's it.
I wonder too how much it affects some of the online sales tax laws requiring, collecting sales tax for all online vendors now. Maybe affected that. But all right. Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Yeah, I attended the Wellsville meeting. They did set a date for their budget hearing, and it looks like they're going to be it's about identical to the county, 0.8 of a mil under for the year. They are pouring the concrete now on the north side of the truck stop where we invested some dollars in earlier, and it looks like it's come along real good now. And they are talking about some revitalization, maybe something for their Main Street. And I suggested they talk to Paul and Mr. Bean maybe could give them some good direction. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Don. Commissioner Howard.
I don't have anything to add right now.
All right. Neither do I. And unless there's anything else from staff, Derek, are we good? Looking to adjourn. If not.
Yeah, I don't have anything else, so I'll plan on talking to all of you later.
All right, at our budget hearing. So with that, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.